Dear friends, today we are discussing language, origin of English language, history of English language, communication and classroom discourse. Language is derived from Latin word lingua, which means the tongue. A language is a system of visual, auditory, tactile symbol of communication and the rules used to manipulate them. It is considered to be the system of communicating with other people using sounds, symbols and words in expressing meaning, idea or thought. Language learning requires 4 basic skills: listening, speaking, reading and writing. Definitions of language. Famous philosopher Plato defined language as ideas and feelings are the realization, but when these are related through mouth is known language. Another famous definition, language is a means of communication of thoughts by Alan. Aldous Huxley once wrote, language has made possible man's progress from animality to civilization. In doing so, he effectively summarized the importance of language in humans' lives. It is through language that we are civilized. One could argue that nothing is more important to the human species than language. But Huxley was not done there. He continued by explaining the value of language. It permits its users to pay attention to things, persons and events, even when the things and persons are absent and events are not taking place. Language gives definition to our memories and by translating experiences into symbols, converts the immediacy of craving or adherence or hatred or love into fixed principles of feelings and emotions. Okay, now let us discuss about origin of English language. English is the West Germanic language that was first spoken in early medieval England and now a global lingua franca, named after Engels, one of the Germanic tribes that migrated to England. It ultimately derives its name from Anglia Peninsula in Baltic Sea. It is closely related to the Frisian languages, but its vocabulary has been significantly influenced by other Germanic languages, particularly Norse, as well as by Latin and Romance languages, especially French. English is the third most widespread native language in the world after Standard Chinese and Spanish. It is the most widely learned second languages and is either the official language or one of the official languages in almost 60 sovereign states. There are more people who have learned it as a second language than there are native speakers. English is most commonly spoken language in the United Kingdom, the United States, Canada, Australia, Ireland, New Zealand, and it is widely spoken in some areas of Caribbean, Africa and South Asia. Now let us discuss about communication. The word communication is also derived from Latin word communicare, which means to share. It is the act of conveying intended meanings from one group to another through the use of mutually understood signs or semiotic rules. Communication is several types. It can be categorized as intrapersonal communication, interpersonal communication, verbal communication and non-verbal communication. Let us see intrapersonal and interpersonal communication. Intrapersonal communication is defined as the communication process within an individual. It involves communicating with oneself. Interpersonal communication is active internal involvement. It dominates the majority of our communication and has the largest impact upon our personal attitudes, success and failures. It aids ordering one's thoughts. Communication between two or more individuals is called interpersonal communication. It is the process of sending and receiving information by the two. Nonverbal and verbal communication. Nonverbal communication describes the process of conveying a type of information in the form of non-linguistic representations. Examples of nonverbal communication include haptic communication, chronomic communication, gestures, body language, facial expression, eye contact, etc. Nonverbal communication also relates to intent of a message. Examples of intent are voluntary, intentional movements like shaking a hand or winking, as well as involuntary such as sweating. Speech also contains nonverbal elements known as paralanguage. Example, rhythm, intonation, tempo and stress. It affects communication most at the subconscious level and establishes trust. There are several reasons to why nonverbal communication plays an important role in communication. Nonverbal communication is omnipresent. They are included in every single communication act. To have total communication, all nonverbal channels such as the body, face, voice, appearance, touch, distance, timing and other environmental forces must be engaged during face-to-face interactions. Verbal communication is the spoken or written conveyance of a message. Human language can be defined as a system of symbols and the grammars by which the symbols are manipulated. The word language also refers to common properties of languages. Language learning normally occurs most intensively during human childhood. Most of the thousands of human languages use patterns of sound or gesture of symbols which enable communication with others around them. come to next topic, discourse. Discourse is simply defined as an interaction occurs in the classroom with teachers and students. Special features of classroom discourse include unequal power relationships, turn taking at speaking, patterns of interactions, etc. It is often different in the form and functions from language used in other situations because of particular social roles which learners and teachers have in the classroom and the kind of activity usually carry out there. As we reach into the conclusion of these three topics, we can see that these topics are related to each other. Language is a means of communication of thoughts. Communication is the act of conveying intended meanings from one group to another through the use of mutually understood signs and semiotic rules. Discourse is simply defined as interaction with teachers or fellow students that occurs in the classroom. These two terms, communication and discourse, are used in the same meaning, but the context only is different.